What is up, guys? Boris here. Hunter x Hunter chapter 359, Departure. There is so much to talk about in this chapter, so let me just go ahead and get straight into it. Now, we're finally departing for the Dark Continent, and it's really cool to see how the whale ship is built. You see it's sort of like a cruise liner on top of the actual whale ship, and that's going to come into perspective a little bit later when they talk about closing the roof. But I thought it's pretty cool. It looks really awesome, and right off the bat, they're explaining the journey to the Dark Continent. Now, the announcer is explaining it to the people in the ship, I don't want to say the casual, but pretty much the princess and the general admission. They're saying essentially they're going to hit a refuel station right at the borders of the human territorial waters, and then they're going to head from there to the Dark Continent, and the journey is going to take 2 months. However, that isn't the actual Dark Continent. So that is a fake Dark Continent, sort of what people will believe that's what they're going to. And so that journey alone is going to take 2 months. We learn later that from that point, once they reach that fake continent, which is, again, where the general admission, the princes think that they're actually going, from there, the hunters, the guys who actually want to go to the actual Dark Continent, where the calamities are, those guys, Morel is going to be waiting for them. Awesome to see Morel back in the story. He's one of my favorite characters. Cannot wait to see Morel. Nov has a lot to show. He sort of disappointed me a little bit in the Chimera Ant arc, but hopefully he'll make up for that in this arc, and I can't wait to see him again. But essentially, once they reach the fake continent, the new continent or whatever, from there, the people who actually want to travel to the actual Dark Continent, we're going to meet up with Morel, and they're going to start their journey to the actual Dark Continent. So we sort of have it divided into two different journeys. The journey to the fake continent, which is going to take 2 months. I believe, I might be wrong, but I believe that's going to take 2 months. And that is where the Succession War should occur. So the Succession War should occur in that 2 months journey. Then after that, the rest of it is where Beyond's group, the Zodiacs, potentially the Phantom Troop, that's when they should, everything goes down there once they actually reach the actual Dark Continent. And who knows, Togashi's probably going to mix those two together. Some princess might end up going to the actual Dark Continent. They might not even go to the to the fake continent. They might just have to go straight to the Dark Continent. Who knows? But it's pretty interesting to see how that's going to happen. And it just gives you an idea of the span of the world. Because remember, we've seen the map before. It's huge. The territorial waters are just a portion of getting to the new continent, which is just a portion of getting to the border, which is just a portion of getting to the Dark Continent. So there's a lot to traverse. And this is going to be a crazy arc. Speaking of Nov, they explained that Nov is going to set up a relay base, a point where you're going to be able to take things from the Dark Continent and transport them back using Nov's ability to the relay base. That's going to make it potentially an awesome way for people to escape the Dark Continent. They don't, obviously, traversing all the way back through that dangerous sea is going to be really tough. I mean, if you've seen it before, you have Omibuzo, you have the giant squids, you have like killer whales you see in this picture. You have some crazy things, but with No's ability, they can actually just teleport back using the different dimensions and make the journey a lot less of a hassle. So that's really cool. And again, like I said, No has a lot to show in this arc, so hopefully, I think he'll end up playing a big part. Now, when it comes to the scene with Beyond, Cell, and you have the 3 different Zodiacs there, it's really interesting because if you remember, it appears as though the monkey Zodiac, he was supposedly the traitor, from what we saw from Kurapika's chain, but we don't know if there was any interference. Of course, remember, Kurapika said that ability isn't it's not too powerful, so it's pretty easy to counter. Who knows if it actually is or not, but it's interesting because they have decided it looks like they're going to try to take shifts. And so at that point, who knows, maybe Beyond will be let loose. I really don't think Beyond really has anything to do until we actually get to the actual Dark Continent, or at least to the new continent. So, I think that he'll stay sort of out of the picture for now. But who knows? It's Togashi. He could be let out right now and cause extreme chaos and havoc. So we'll have to wait and see for that one. But again, Beyond's goal is to reach the actual Dark Continent. So I think he'll just lay low for now. Now, here's the crazy part. We have the researcher. I forgot what his name was. He's talking about that we should be ready up for the Labyrinth City that we're heading to. So he's actually heading to the actual Dark Continent. And he's talking about the Labyrinth City. That is his goal. And if you remember, when they're talking about the different calamities, there is one calamity specific that resides in a labyrinth city, and that is the plant weapon Bryon. And I cannot wait to see what that thing is capable of. Is that the same one that the Zodiacs are going for? Because remember, the Zodiacs, I think, were tasked with a mission of retrieving one of the calamities. Could be, they could be going for the same one. They could be going for different ones. I'm not sure, but more than likely, they're gonna go for plant weapon Bryon, and that's going to be exciting to see that we already have one calamity that's being targeted right off the bat. These guys think they're safe. I mean, obviously the researcher, is warning them, like, yo, I might die. You guys need to take over. The other guy's like, nah, don't worry about it. We got the hunters on our side. They have no clue what they're in store for, so they better, I don't know what to say for them, man. They're probably going to die. Who knows? They might end up being one of the main survivors at the end, but, that might be a big troll. But those guys probably going to be one of the first ones to die. So excited to learn more about the plant weapon Bryon when we ever do go. Or, I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but I think it's like Byron or Bryon, one of those two. So excited for that. Next up, we see, again, there's a lot to cover, but next up, we see one of the bodyguards is completely destroyed. He has holes all over his body, so at first I thought maybe something like Franklin, obviously bullet holes. Who knows, but I feel like that would have been able to be heard. It would have made some sort of ruckus in the boat, so it's probably not that, and I don't think the Phantom Troop members are making the move anytime soon. The other thing to keep in mind is that potentially it could be the Nen Beast. Remember, the baby has a Nen Beast. Only Kurapika can see it. So, that is, and I believe that the Nen Beast are independent of the actual, they're not connected to the host, so they could actually move on their own, I believe. I'm not sure about that. They might have I'm sure they have to be within proximity, of course. But it's interesting because, how did this happen? We see later on that this happens to a couple other more people. And, I just don't know what to say. I don't know what to think. These could be, I've heard some people say that potentially they could be spies. And maybe they try to kill the baby, but the baby obviously having the Nen Beast. We saw him manifested a couple chapters back. I think it was the last chapter by Kurapika. So who knows? But this is probably, I guess, the main thing at the moment. The main thing that we want to know, the main mystery, the main thing on Kurapika's mind right now is who is behind these attacks. And we'll learn more about this at the last page. So I'll get back to this later on. After that, we get a small scene with Kurapika and the other bodyguards. Pretty much, it looks like none of the other bodyguards know anything about what's really going on. And so it really looks like it's going to be up to Kurapika. It looks like he was the only one who was handpicked by Woble's mother to actually, protect them. So it's going to be, looks like a difficult challenge for Kurapika. Then after that, we go straight into the dinner with all the princes. And the eldest one seems like he doesn't think he can lose, or he doesn't think there's any way he can lose, and he looks like he's ready for battle. You get that cool little panel there. And then we get to see some shots of the other princes. Now it's very interesting because we see Lady Kacho, leave with Fugetsu. I believe we've seen them before in some of the pictures, and it looks like Fugetsu really is. It looks like an innocent person. Okay, Hunter, we never know, but it's interesting. There are cameras all over the place, so if any of them tend to do anything sketchy, they'll probably be reported to the king. And then the other thing is that Fugetsu looks like there's something going on because she appears to be nice, but she looks like she's out for her own gain. Now it's interesting, she's the person that actually Melody ended up with. And if you remember back when they were sort of deciding, Kurapika was deciding which of the two princes that he had decided to go with, which one he was going to pick, he said that one of them is probably going to be based, they're going to be picking their bodyguards based on appearance. That's why they were attending the selections themselves. And so it turns out that all these guys are really ugly, which is pretty funny, including Melody. That explains why Melody got picked, right? So then Melody senses something off about Kacho. I don't really know at this point what it could be, but it could be very interesting. It could be maybe like a clone. At this point, anything is possible. We know Corolla has convert hands. We have all this sort of weird things. So it really, it can come down to whatever speculation you want, but it'll be interesting. Definitely will play an important part down the line. Finally, we get to the last page where it seems some more bodyguards have died and Kurapika is fed up. It's time to let these guys know what's really up. And interestingly, he has a gun with him. So I was thinking about this, and we know that he has 5 different chains. One of them is for healing. One of them is the Zetsu applying chain, which he can only use on the Phantom Troop. One of them is the knife that stabs the blade. And then one of them is the other one is the one that he can tell the truth or not. So he has a 5th one we don't know about, but from the looks of it, none of those can really do any major damage. At least I don't think they can actually kill an opponent as fast as a gun can. So That's why he has it. But we don't know what the fifth one is. The fifth one could be, he could be tricking us. Togashi could be tricking us, making him pull out the gun, but potentially have a deadlier Nen weapon. Who knows? I can't wait to see I'm sure his fifth ability will be revealed sometime in this arc. And I can't wait to see what it is. But it's time for Kurapika to actually let him know what's going on. And these guys better tell the truth, otherwise they're dead. So it's going to be pretty interesting. I cannot wait for next week. And very, very interesting chapter. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. And until next time, thanks for watching.